Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is a place for conversations about balancing a healthy lifestyle and being happy. More specifically, happy hour. Together, we'll explore all things wellness and wine. I hope you learn a little, laugh a lot, and along the way, know you're not alone on this balanced wellness journey. Ready to jump in? Pour something in your glass that makes you happy because it's time for Spandex and Wine. Hello and welcome to the Spandex and Wine podcast. I'm your host, Robin Hackney, and today's guest is my friend, Alison Fraser. She says she went from couch potato to Ironman in just over a year and actually stopped drinking alcohol during her training to help her efforts. She was 520 days into a running streak when she broke her ankle, and she's now 2 months into a new streak after that injury. She says that running helps her feel free, and she also does it for stress management. She has finished Ironman New Zealand 4 times, 5 half Ironmans, and 16 marathons, plus 253 park runs. What is a park run? You're about to find out, and that's where her passion lies. Here is Alison. Well, hello, Alison. Thank you for being here on the Spandex and Wine podcast with me.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Robin.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Number one, I love your accent. I could just listen to you all day long. And
Good job I have a podcast.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to get to that too, because I want to ask you about that. That's actually how we met, was in a podcasting group. And I remember you talking to us or saying something about the park runs that you do, the book that you wrote. And I thought, oh, she would be a really cool person to interview. So I want to talk about all of that. I know you also had an injury in there, and I know that that can be just awful to set back. But let's start with your story. Just give me a little bit of information about you.
Oh, where shall I start, Robin? Well, I'm from the UK, but I live in New Zealand, so I probably have a bit of a mishmash of an accent. Growing up, I hated sport, athletics, school sports days. I would do my hardest to get out of them. But when I moved to New Zealand, like everyone here is well, it seemed to me where I was living, everyone was doing something outdoorsy. They were either like hiking or doing some kind of sport. And I found myself training for, it was called the Special K Women's Triathlon. So it was sponsored by Special K, the cereal. It was for women only, and it was like an introductory event into triathlon. So it was a 300-meter swim, a 10-kilometer bike ride, and I think it was a 2 or 3K run. It was really, really short.
Okay.
And most of them were done in places where they had a swimming pool. So you could do your swim in a pool rather than like open water, which was quite scary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I did that and found myself doing Ironman the following year, which for anyone who doesn't know what Ironman is, it's, I'm going to try to remember the miles. It's 2.4 miles swim, then 112 miles bike, and then 26-mile run. So
oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't know that. That is so crazy. I can't even imagine that.
And you have to do it all in 17 hours.
Oh, yeah. My next question was going to be, how long did it take you?
And there are cutoffs along the way. So you have to be out of the swim. I think it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes to do the swim. And then you have to finish the bike. I think it's 10 and a half hours to have done the swim and the bike. And then you have until midnight generally, because most of them, I think they tend to start, when I was doing it, they have rolling starts for some of them now because they've got so popular. But we started at 7 a.m. A cannon would go off and you'd start your swim, and then you had to be finished by midnight.
Oh my gosh. How long did it take you to train for that?
Well, I did that Special K triathlon in the February 2004, and the people I'd learned to swim with and go running with at the Harriers Club were into Ironman. So they kind of, I'm not sure, they didn't really talk me into it, but I kind of got, like that osmosis. It's like you're around all these people when they're doing it. So you think, oh, it's probably "Oh, it sounds like a good idea. Why don't I do that?" So I started training in, I think it was like the May 2004, and in March 2005 I did the Ironman.
Oh my gosh. No, I can't. Nah. If someone says you're going to be swimming, racing for 2.5 hours or over 2 hours. I mean, I love to swim, but no. Wow.
Well,
Okay,
the swim
that is
doesn't take you that
wonderful.
long. The swim doesn't take you that long, Robin. That's how long you've got to do it. My
Okay.
first one, it took me, I think, an hour and a half to do the swim.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So after that, then did you do any more?
Yeah, I've done Ironman 4 times.
Oh
I
my
had a
gosh, Allison. Wow.
I had a bit of a break. I did 2008, 9, and 11. After my first Ironman, I did my first half marathon and my first marathon and my
Which
first,
probably were just easy.
yeah.
It was a breeze to you at that point.
Well, I kind of I tend to undertrain for things because I'm like, oh, I know I can get through this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But for Ironman, I go all in. Like I've never gone in undertrained for Ironman because I
You
think you
you
just have
couldn't.
to, no,
Yeah.
you have to respect the distance. And
Right.
otherwise you're gonna pay all that money and you're gonna miss the bike cutoff. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't know that. I just thought you did, a few little park runs and things. I had no idea that
Mhm.
you were doing Ironman competitions. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. So then from there, after you did those, then you started doing all your park runs, or has that been something that you've always done?
Yeah, so in 2011 was my final Ironman and I was pregnant within like 4 months of that finishing. So then I started my new phase of being a mum.
Hmm.
But I carried on running well, running and swimming as much as I could because I swam all through my pregnancy, right up until I think a couple of weeks before Axel was born. And I was doing like 2 or 3 sessions a week of up to 3 kilometers.
Wow.
He naturally loves the water, which is great, but I never really liked the cycling, so I gave that up as soon as I could. But running, after I had Axel, I did a marathon, I think when he was not quite 1.5. So I
Hmm.
did marathons before he was born and I carried on doing the marathons afterwards. But parkrun didn't come into my life until 2016. I'd heard about it on a the Marathon Talk podcast that I like to listen to. It's one of the first podcasts that I ever got into.
Okay.
And yeah, so I would listen to it while I was training for my marathons, and they would talk about this thing called parkrun because one of the presenters was quite involved with the parkrun organization at the time, and the other presenter also liked going to parkrun. And it seemed a bit unusual that these marathon runners would talk about an event that was only 5K, 3 miles.
Hmm.
But now that I've experienced it for myself, I can definitely see how people can really get into it. So I heard about it, I think 2014, 2015 is when I started looking into it. But my nearest one it was an hour and a half's drive. And at that time, with a 3-year-old, I thought, oh, an hour and a half's
Yeah.
drive in the morning on a Saturday morning for an 8 o'clock start run for a free run, and then to come back. I thought, who would do that? Who would drive that distance to do a free
Yeah.
5K? And then I ran one. I was in Auckland, which is a major city in New Zealand. I contrived a Friday night stay with some friends who had never done parkrun either, but they were also runners. And we went to a park run together and it's like, wow, this is so cool. We definitely need one for my town. So
Okay.
I set about starting one in the city I live in, Rotorua. Well, it's quite small. It's like 60,000
Oh,
people live
wow.
here. So yeah, it's a tiny city. And so Parkrun in Rotorua has been going since June 2016. And pretty much every weekend I've been involved with Parkrun, aside from during the pandemic
Wow.
when we went on a little pause.
Right. Yes, that pause.
Yeah.
We all remember. Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, when you use the term park run, I think of we have different 5K events and all of that, but it's not something that you would do the same one every weekend. So is this like a specific park that you go to, or do you go to different ones?
It's called Park Run, but they're not always in parks and you don't have
Okay.
to run. That's just
Okay.
the
Well,
that's
all
just the brand
right.
name. There are loads of people who walk them. Um,
Okay.
so they're all over the world, I think 22, 23 countries, including the United States and Canada.
Okay.
Um, they're the same time every week at the
Okay.
same place every week, and they're free, and you don't have to register in advance to go there. You
Oh.
register online with the organization and
Mm-hmm.
you get your own personal barcode and
Mm-hmm.
you just show up to any parkrun location, do the parkrun. When you finish, you get given a little finisher's token, which has your position number on it. And you take
Okay.
that token and your personal barcode to someone who then scans both.
Mm-hmm.
The parkrun keeps your finish token, you keep your personal barcode, and then you get sent your results. So you can track how you're doing. I mean, if you like to do that thing, you can track
Uh-huh.
how you're going, whether you want to get faster or, improve your age grade, or you can just, you know, just see
I love
where
it.
you finished. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. No, it's a great way to keep track too and hold yourself accountable, and be able to compare how you're doing. I think that's fantastic. That's so cool. I need to look it up and see where the closest one is to me.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Very
at my
cool.
park run, we have Jake is 4. He comes with his mum. So 4 is the youngest you can be to get your own barcode. He walks
Okay.
with his mum, and then we have Neil, who's 87, who walks with his 2 sticks now and his knees all strapped up.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can wear whatever you like. You don't have to be in lycra, spandex. You don't have
Yeah.
to look like you're just going to the gym. Um you can wear whatever. I've seen pictures of people walking parkrun in jeans.
Yeah.
Just
Well, and I love that it's the same people too. So you have that camaraderie and that group that you're in. That's really cool.
mm. And
Yeah.
we have I remember I heard from one of my friends at our local parkrun, because you know how I said I thought it was a bit odd that people would drive an hour and a half, or I would never drive an hour and a half to do a free 5K. I actually do drive to other places to do the park runs because I discovered I like that variety. But at
Yeah.
our park run, we have quite a lot of families who come along, but there's an older man in his 70s who comes, and his daughter's in her 50s, and he said that he sees more of his daughter now that they go to parkrun than he did beforehand.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity for them just to catch up. They'll walk together, and
Hmm.
he's got more family time now than what he used to have.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the same. Like I think I told you that I'm walking with my mom. She just turned 79 in October, and I told her, okay, I'm going to walk you into your 80s. We're going to walk 80 miles this year together, which to some doesn't sound like that much, but it is. You're right. It's an opportunity for us to spend that time together with nothing else going on. We just get to walk and talk. And so I'm really enjoying that time. So I can see how that would be beneficial to families and friends. And that's great. Cool.
Yeah.
So how did your book then come about?
So I've always wanted to write a book, and it was actually just before the pandemic. I thought, oh, I'm going to write a book all about the different parkruns, and it will be like, the Lonely Planet guidebooks. I thought
Hmm.
I could
Hmm.
do a Lonely Planet style book about parkruns in New Zealand. At that time, we had just over 30, I think it was. So I thought I'd write about all the different parkrun events we have, how they got started, because I'm really into the origin story of things. Because
Yeah.
we've got some really tiny towns which have got a parkrun. It's like, how the hell did this tiny little town at the bottom of the South Island get a parkrun? And so I was keen to get those stories, and to um, do like 5 things to do while you're in Balclutha, which is this tiny
Oh,
little
cool.
town.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like how the parkrun came to be and what you could do while you're also there, and also the information about where to park and that kind of stuff. Um, so I thought, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. I'll get started on this book, and
Yeah.
I did 2 interviews, and then the world kind of stopped. But I carried on writing my book. Um,
Okay, good. Yeah.
yeah, so I ended up working full time during the pandemic in a hospital, but I got one day off during the week because
Hmm.
I just of all the extra hours I was doing. So I essentially was working full days. And that one day I would just write the book. I would phone
Okay.
people and yeah, just talk about parkrun. And there was a lot of detective work going on, and like, who was the person who started this event over 10 years ago? Where are they now? Okay,
Hmm.
just getting like just all these connections from people. Just going to
Yeah.
someone and it's like, oh, do you know the person who started this event? And it's like, yeah, but all I know is that they're now working here, or so and so will know them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
just
cool. So
and through
what's the
doing
name
that,
of the
yeah.
book?
Oh, it's the unofficial guide to parkruns in New Zealand, something like that. It's
Okay.
on Amazon.
Okay. Okay,
Just search up
cool.
parkruns and New Zealand, and my book will show up. And the front cover is a stunning photo from East End Parkrun in New Plymouth with Mount Taranaki behind, and two runners looking like they're having a great time. One's an older man and one's a younger girl.
Oh, that is awesome. I really feel like I should get that
Mhm.
book and then I should come visit you and do a park run with you.
Oh, definitely. And our parkrun is like, when it comes to parkrun tourism, because that is a thing, you have people who
Okay.
travel around the world just to go and do a parkrun and then have a holiday at the same time.
Yeah.
If you come to New Zealand to do parkruns, you have to do the parkrun in my town. It's called Puarenga Parkrun. It's in Rotorua. We are the world's only parkrun that goes through geothermal activity.
Oh,
So
cool.
you're running across, like pumicy gravel past steam and bubbling mud pools. You can see the
Yeah. Oh my
sulfur.
gosh. That would be cool.
Yeah. So do ours and then go to Queenstown in the South Island because that is stunning on Lake Wakatipu with the remarkable mountains. It's, yeah,
Ah.
breathtaking.
Oh, it sounds amazing. That is so cool. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
So then how did podcasting fit in all of that? Because you work in the hospital, you wrote the book, you do all the runs, and you have two podcasts.
Yeah. So I work in a hospital, but I'm in communications. So communicating has been part of my life, I think, since I think it was 11 when I decided I wanted to be a journalist. So I've always
Okay.
been writing and speaking. I studied broadcast journalism at university. I had my first podcast in 2014. It was called Run for Your Life. It was a running podcast, and
Oh.
I just let it go after about 20 episodes. I had pod fade and just,
Yeah.
I didn't have that consistent producing an episode every week. Um,
Hmm.
I just wanted to have a podcast because I love listening to podcasts.
Hmm.
Um, so then I kind of just let podcasting go for quite a few years. But there was always that thought at the back of my mind, oh, I'd love to be podcasting again. What could I podcast about? And I thought about doing a
Hmm.
parkrun one, but there's a couple of parkrun podcasts already. One that I contribute to already. And I just didn't think that I could be different enough. And
Hmm.
would I really want to like talk about parkrun every week as well as doing parkrun and writing about it? It's like, so now
Yeah.
that um and then I did Kathy Heller's course in 2022 and was I had like so many different ideas for what I could do a podcast on, but I ended up doing one. I thought I could help women in business, small business, get publicity for their business. Being a
Oh,
journalist,
yeah.
I kind of knew what journalists were looking for to get people into the news.
Hmm.
And so I started off, my podcast was called Turn Up Your Volume.
Hmm.
But I didn't really have a plan for it. And I got to the point where it's like, oh, I'm only producing content to get something out. It's not my best work. I'm going to put this on
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah.
So I paused it for a bit. And then I came back with talking about other people's podcasts because I discovered when I first started that podcast, I like talking to other people about their podcasts and
Sure.
sharing tips and that kind of stuff. But I'd always wanted to do a second podcast about Scotland or Edinburgh. I
Yeah.
still wasn't too sure at that time how it would be. I came up with like 4 different podcast ideas, which I've now merged all into one. So I'm combining
That's great.
everything. Yeah, so I'm learning Gaelic, I'm learning the bagpipes. I love to go on holiday in Scotland. My dad was Scottish, so I've got that family history
Hmm.
connection. My favorite author is Scottish. So I started a podcast called Scottish at Heart, which I'm
Hmm.
now rebranding to Our Scotland. And I'm going to be talking with all my guests. We're talking about their perfect day in Scotland, their perfect
Oh,
24
okay.
hours. So how they would start the day, where they would be, what they would eat, drink, music they'd listen to, but also
Yeah.
intertwining that into their own stories.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's such a great resource for someone that's traveling there to get some
Yes.
different ideas and different perspectives and maybe find some places that are kind of just off the beaten path.
Mm. Go
Yeah.
beyond Edinburgh, Stirling, and Loch Ness.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There's so
That's
much more to
awesome.
see.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Okay, so then when you travel, when you go back to the UK, do you do park runs there also? I'm kind
Yes,
of
I
going
do.
back there. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there are currently 43 different parkruns in New Zealand. I've done all of those, but I've done a total of 90 different parkruns around the
Wow.
world.
Okay. Wow. Where's the
Yeah.
furthest that you've gone then?
Like specifically to do a parkrun.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a holiday in Perth, Western Australia last year, which was to go to a Parkrun Adventurers podcast listener meetup. And that was a
Okay.
7.5 hour flight. But we had like 5 days over there. In the UK with my mum, we went to Norway for a couple of days
Nice.
to go
Yeah.
just to go and do parkrun and
Oh my
explore
gosh.
Oslo.
I
That was
love
cool.
that.
I'm not
And
even
I
that
love being
crazy.
able,
That
you go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm not even that crazy, Robin, because there are people who will fly extraordinary distances just to do a park run. I know of someone who flew from the UK to Tasmania in Australia,
Oh,
did the park run, and then flew back again.
okay. Yeah, that does seem a bit extreme. I would not call you crazy at all. I would call you adventurous. I
Thank you.
love that you travel all the time, you go all different places, and you try so many different things, and then you share that information with
Mm.
everyone. So we get to live vicariously through you.
Thanks. Well, I've got a parkrun adventure coming up soon. I'm taking my son out of school for a term and we're going back to the UK. So we're going mid-April to mid-July and I will be doing parkruns in Finland
Okay.
and in the Netherlands, Scotland and England.
Wow. Okay, that is super, super cool. I need to get on it and
Yeah.
check all that out.
And if there isn't one in your area, you can start one. There's heaps of people who want to support you to make the event a success because we just want parkrun to grow.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So I'm gonna have to check that out. So I'm assuming I can just Google parkrun and go from there.
You can. There is a US website. I'm not sure if it's parkrun.us
Okay, I'll
or
take
maybe
a look.
parkrun.com.us, something like that. But there'll be
Yeah.
a map. You go to events and it will show you all the events that are currently there on a map.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'm not a big runner just because my hip bothers me a lot. And I know
Hmm.
that you had an injury not too terribly long ago. So that had to have been really hard for you to not be able to do your runs then.
Yeah, I'd been running, I think it was 520 days into a run streak when I broke my ankle, and
Ugh.
I ended up in the hospital where I work. And so the doctor who I saw in the emergency department, she was pretty straight with me because
Hmm.
we knew each other through work, and so she didn't treat me like your regular patient. Um, and I was like, "Am I going to be running anytime soon?" She goes, "Not for a very long time."
Ah.
And I kind of thought it would only be a few months, but it was
Mhm.
actually a year before I was able to start running again.
Could you go and walk at least, or was it just too much?
Yeah, so I broke my ankle. It was January the 30th, 2022, and I was starting to walk, thinking about the April. I was walking with crutches and a
Hmm.
moon boot. And I did
Wow.
my first walk without the moon boot, I think in May, but still with a crutch, and I probably
Hmm.
shouldn't have done that. Um, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
real slow.
Oh, I bet. That doesn't sound very comfortable with a crutch
No,
there
no,
either.
no.
Wow, that's a long way to go with that injury. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
Well, I'm glad that you're back at it. I'm glad that you're recovered and all is well now and you're able to do what you love.
Yeah, and I've kind of I've started my run streak again, and I've noticed that I'm feeling fitter, and it's not so much about being faster, although that's always a nice benefit, but just
Mhm.
being out, being able to get up and go outside and feel the fresh air on your face. And you could get to choose whether you want to run or to walk. It's your choice,
Mhm.
it's not one that's already been made for you because of the injury. And yeah, so it's a non-negotiable now. That's what I do every day.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then your son goes with you?
He comes to parkrun, yes, but he volunteers. So
Okay.
parkrun, you can do parkrun in any way. You can run it, walk it, volunteer, or just
Okay.
spectate. And so
Okay.
he volunteers. He's the one who hands out the finish tokens at the end.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fun. That would
So
be
he
rewarding to
has,
see everyone.
yeah, so he has that interaction with strangers and people who he knows, adults who aren't teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the person handing out the finish tokens has to be in communication with the timekeeper to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they're in sync. So
Mm-hmm.
he has a bit of responsibility, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not anything that can't be fixed if things go
Yeah.
wrong. If you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so long as we'll try to fix it as best we can. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love all of that for you. I just think
Mm,
it's amazing. And I love that you're including family and setting that example. It sounds like he's just following right in your footsteps. So that is
yeah.
amazing. Yes.
But I have to tell you the
Oh,
best thing about parkrun,
okay.
Robin.
Yes, tell me.
It's not actually the parkrun itself. It's the afterwards getting to just chat with people and
Yeah.
that whole community aspect. It's
Mm-hmm.
never even the person who came up with the idea, he says it's never been about the run, it's all about the community afterwards. Because
Yeah.
the guy who set it up, he was injured. He was a runner, he was injured. He missed his friends because his friends were runners and he would see his
Okay.
friends when they were running together. But when he was injured, he didn't see his friends because he wasn't running. So he got quite
Uh,
lonely. And so he
yeah.
started a running that, I'll come up with a running event and you guys show up and then we'll go for coffee and cake afterwards.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
So that's what we do. It's all about the cake, Robin.
I don't know. I think I've seen some ice cream in there too. I've seen some of
Oh,
your
yeah,
posts.
yeah. I'm all about the ice
Oh, no,
cream.
that's wonderful. And you're right. I mean, everything comes down to relationships and having those connections. So
Mm,
that's super cool that you have that community that you can go to and have fun with.
yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time because I know for you, it is, for me right now, it's lunchtime. For you, it's tomorrow and it's 6 in the morning. So it's before work for you. So thank you so much for doing this. Tell the listeners how they can find you, again, how they can find your book, both your podcasts, everything. Spill all the beans.
I have a website which is alisonfraser.co and both my podcasts are on there. My book I actually wrote under my married name, but if you just look up Parkrun New Zealand, it's by
Okay.
Alison King, it will come up there.
Okay.
Um, um, yeah, I have an Instagram for my parkrun. My kind of brand within parkrun is runs with a barcode because you
Oh,
run with a
okay.
barcode.
Uh-huh.
And so if anyone is into parkrun, I have a Facebook group called Runs with a Barcode Clubhouse, and we just talk parkrun and cake and coffee and best places to go for a parkrun, that kind of thing.
That's great. I think all my clients listening to this, they're going to be like, wait a second, I just did my workout. Where's my coffee and cake?
It's all about balance.
True. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Allison. I truly appreciate you being here.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Robin. Any opportunity to talk about parkrun, I am there.
Oh, I love it. Oh, thank you, Allison. That was wonderful. It's always fun to have a conversation with someone that is so passionate about a hobby and her podcasting as well. She's been so helpful to me since I've known her in our accountability group, and I'm very grateful for our friendship. Here are a few takeaways. One, If you're looking to get into running, triathlons, or any activities, surround yourself with like-minded people to help your own efforts. 2, Parkrun is a brand name offering free meetups for runners to do weekly runs together and tracking your time. It's like a running club. 3, find your passion and run with it. Pun intended. Whether it's writing a book, running, signing up for a competition, no matter what it is, pour yourself in and enjoy. I hope you will check out the show notes and all of information that Alison has to offer. Thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, be sure to follow Spandex and Wine so you don't miss an episode. To do this, just go to the podcast and click subscribe or follow wherever you are listening. Look for the plus sign or follow button. This is one of the best things that you can do for the podcast. If you'd also be willing to give a 5-star review, that would be amazing and much appreciated. Lastly, please share an episode with a friend or 5 to keep the love going, and join the Spandex and Wine community in our private Facebook group by searching Spandex and Wine. Feel free to reach out to me at any time by emailing info@spandexandwine.com or text me at 913-392-2877. I appreciate you. Thank you.